It is my pleasure to greet you from my home in Burlington, North Carolina, as you meet in session in New York City for the National Convention. You've asked me to go back in my memory 44 years when I was installed in New York City at the conclusion of the 1968 convention to be the international president for the years 1968 to 1970, with a convention to be in Portland, Oregon in 1970. At the New York Convention, there were several decisions of importance made. One was that we institute the insurance program for the members of the society under the chairmanship of Phoebe Emmons of North Carolina. We had discussed this a long time, but we felt that low premiums and better benefits for our members was justified. The second decision was made that we would honor with distinguished awards outstanding educators in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. And so in the spring of 1970, with the assistance of J. Maria Pierce of California, I met in Oslo, Norway, to confer distinguished awards from the society to 5 very brilliant, trusted, respected women at a lovely dinner and reception in which their family, their colleagues, the officials of the city also joined with in paying tribute to them. We had the same delightful dinners in Helsinki, in Stockholm, and in Denmark. These were truly women who were outstanding in their field and contributed so much to the progress of education in their respective countries. But the joy also in April of 1970 was that in Oslo, with J. Maria Pierce and Anna Margrethe Hensen of Bergen, we initiated 18 women who became Alpha Chapter of Oslo, Norway, and thus the Delta Kappa Gamma Society began its first European expansion by adding Norway to the United States and Canada. In our opening sessions, we have always presented the United States flag and the Canadian flag. So in 1970, as a guest of the society, Anna Margaret Rees, the chapter president of Oslo, in her national dress, presented for the first time the flag of Norway. It was a historic and emotional, moving episode, and we were truly felt the joy of having a chapter in Oslo and beginning our European experience. And our expansion program has lasted for many years. All during the time from our walk from Manhattan to the Oregon Trail in Portland, Oregon, the committees worked. The World Fellowship Committee again offered assistance to women in non-member countries to come to the United States and Canada to sharpen their teaching skills, to broaden their experiences, and return home to give the benefit of their new knowledge and their joy to their fellow countrymen. We also had an emergency fund that helped our own members. Of course, we always believed in scholarship, and we added many scholarships for our own members for graduate study. The Educators Award continued each year, awarding a monetary gift to a woman author who advanced the cause of education and had published a very noteworthy book. We were excited to go to Portland, Oregon for a convention. It was the first that we could hold in the Northwest area because there were no hotels or complexes big enough to seat us in our general sessions or our banquets or luncheons until a new hotel was built. We had always used cluster hotels, but thanks to the Portland Hilton, we opened the Northwest to the Delta Kappa Gamma Society in 1970. We had regional conferences in 1969 in which we had leadership development to help new officers assume their responsibilities. We also had opportunities to know each other and to have leadership development sessions. We awarded in 1969 the International Achievement Award to Nell McMains of Texas. I think that I may have been the only international president living on the East Coast with a convention in the far Northwest. We did not have computers or websites. We communicate, and we were so frugal that we didn't use long-distance telephones. So we used typewriters and reams of carbon paper. And I'm so happy that the convention was in the gifted hands, with helping me so much, with Dorothy Elliott as convention coordinator and Big Conley as the state president. There were two projects during the 1970 years that I want to mention. They were funded by the Education Foundation. The first was Project Peru, in which the foundation financed, interviewed, and selected 2 members of the society to live 2 years in Lima, Peru, to assist the teachers in use of new materials, of staff development, of program expansion. It was under the direction of Ola Hiller, a past international president of Michigan and then of California. The second project was nearer to home. It was called Project North America. There, the Education Foundation again financed, interviewed, and selected 2 members of the society for 2 years to live in the Navajo reservation at Window Rock, Arizona. There, to extend their libraries, to assist new teachers, to counsel young men and women to apply for scholarships. We were delighted that we were accepted as offering the best of our teaching skills to the Navajo reservation. It was a delight in our 1970 convention that Mr. Hatathali, representing the Navajo Tribal Council, came to the convention to express his appreciation. We were delighted that we could offer the one thing that we know and pride ourselves in knowing, and that is the ability and the love to teach. In 1970, at the International Convention, we celebrated the birthday of our founder, Annie Webb Blanton, 100 years old, by creating the Blanton Centennial Scholarship and by adding an additional tribute to her in scholarship, because we invited the first recipient of the Annie Webb Blanton desire to offer scholarships to its members by the attendance of Miss Lillian Miner, and to think that she was still active and had been benefited by the scholarship that Annie Webb Blanton had started. Also, in 1960, Una Temple Holden had written a tremendous history of the society from its beginning to 1960 and presented it at the Florida Convention as Volume 1 of the Heritage. In 1970, Mrs. Holden had a dream of adding a volume every 10 years, and so to commemorate Dr. Blanton's birthday, she presented Volume 2 of our Heritage, a copy given to each state president for the state archives. We were very blessed in so many wonderful things that we enjoyed at the great city of Portland, the city of roses. We had roses everywhere, from the gardens, from the proving grounds, from the testing ground, wherever we went in Portland. There were roses for breakfast, for committee meetings, for luncheons, for banquets. We smelled so fragrantly, and it was a beautiful sight. In fact, we had a little ditty that we sang that said, "For you a rose in Portland grows." I would not want to conclude this thank you of all the opportunity to bring you greetings and to tell you a little bit about the history of the biennium of 1968 to 1970, unless I paid a special tribute to the members of the executive board who, as presidents and executive secretaries of their various states, made such magnificent contributions and had such a deep commitment for the value and goals and purposes of the society. No one had any finer officers than the members of the administrative board, and especially were we honored that one of our founders, Dr. Helen Koch of Chicago, came to every board meeting to represent the founders and to give us the value of her experience, her counsel, and just her presence. Then too, I am very grateful for the assistance of the headquarters staff. And I certainly must conclude by paying my deep appreciation to my Delta chapter in Washington, D.C., new state, and to the members of the Board of Education who permitted me to enjoy the opportunity of service to the Delta Kappa Gamma Society. They were very understanding, for during those 2 years, I held in one hand the Delta Kappa Gamma membership of 140,000 women in 3,500 chapters. In the other hand, during this same 2 years, I held in the other hand the responsibility as an assistant superintendent of the elementary schools of Washington, D.C. They were understanding and kind, and oh, so supportive. Therefore, I hope for you in this New York convention that you will be guided by the shine on your key. I have worn the membership key for 60 years. I trust that you too will enjoy the convention, that we will work together to establish ourselves as those who cared to teach, who chose to teach because we wanted to make a difference. And in that purpose, wear your key proudly, and please be undaunted. Of the mind and of the spirit, happy convention. Thank you.